Plain speak today, we tell you why India matters to G7. On that note, let's also tell you Prime Minister Modi, in fact, interacting over there with the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. Very heartwarming visual coming straight from the summit over there with this interaction. Remember, this is one of the most significant bilaterals that is currently underway in Italy. And as we all know, Prime Minister Meloni is also the hostess of the G7 summit this time around. But as far as Italy and India's bilateral engagement is concerned, we've seen only an uptick. And as far as the bilateral relationship is concerned, it's only been growing in the past couple of years. We've also seen how Prime Minister Meloni of Italy, in fact, made 2 visits to India. We've seen this bilateral relationship only blossom further. Let's quickly bring in Sanjay. Sanjay, what will be on the table and on the agenda when you talk about Prime Minister's interaction with the Italian Prime Minister?
Well, politically, this is very significant. Prime Minister Meloni is about the only European leader, the only EU leader who is on a high given the recent elections. Everyone else has been on a slide downwards, and that has made her a very influential voice within Europe, not just within the European Union. And therefore, a good relationship between Prime Minister Meloni and PM Modi, and good relations between Italy and India can politically be quite supportive of India's position in Europe. And this is a very strong wicket to be in bilaterally. That said, not a great deal is happening between India and Italy economically as of now. Trade is fairly low. The growth has not been dramatic, nor has the level of investment been great. That could potentially follow the growing warmth and the greater communication and the increased exchanges, but that is really something to look forward to. There's a point beyond which leaders cannot make that happen. They can offer facilitation or take the lead in inviting business, but finally that will be down to business.
Absolutely. Not to forget how crucial the role of Italy is when you look at the Mediterranean. And Mediterranean is one region where India is also hoping to expand its outreach. And when it is about India expanding its outreach with the Mediterranean, how significant is going to be the role of Italy?
Well, Italy is the key player in the Mediterranean. It is really at the front receiving end of a lot of illegal migration, and that is a prime issue. That is a prime political issue in Europe. We have seen the election results being shaped by that decision, the existence of Brothers of Italy, and it stands for a right-wing policy on migration as categorized, but also quite centrist. Meloni hasn't done anything wild. There was some talk earlier of a naval blockade in the Mediterranean to stop illegal migration. That is not what we have seen in the seas. She is taking a pragmatic approach and seeking through that to win over more people and factions within Italy and also more widely within the EU. So we are seeing Meloni quite well positioned to take a lead in the Mediterranean for all of the EU, particularly on the issue of migration. And to that extent, given that key role that Italy is playing, a role that is getting stronger by the day, good relations between India and Italy and exchanges that may follow on the Mediterranean can only be advantageous to India.
All right. In fact, my last question with you is going to be about how the Prime Minister, in fact, interacted with the Italian Prime Minister at the COP28 summit in Abu Dhabi last year. How will this now be a step forward as far as their engagement at G7 is concerned? Not to forget that the Italian Prime Minister also visited the country last year twice.
Well, this has been a growing exchange between the two. We saw Prime Minister Meloni visiting India. It was in March of last year. Then she was in India for the G20. She has spoken of Prime Minister Modi as the world's most loved leader. So clearly there's a great deal of warmth between these two prime ministers. The fact is that that is a personal relationship that has to spill over politically into tangible results, and that consequence is not necessarily automatic or immediate. So the challenge really will be how this warmth of personal relationships, how this personal rapport between the two leaders can translate into very much more happening on the ground. Politically, yes, but also economically, because without strong economic ties, close political ties are not necessarily going to be correspondingly strong. The real base for good political relations will come from good economic relations, and that is the tough one, that is the challenge, that is where even prime ministers have only a limited role to play.
Many thanks to you, Sanjay, for bringing.
Thank you for watching CNBC TV 18. For all the latest news and updates, do follow us on our social media platforms.